A media briefing convened by Clement Sosi, the UN Special Rapporteur on Rights to Freedom of Peaceful Assembly and of Association, took place at the United Nations compound in Colombo today.
The rapporteur, who had been in the island from the 18th to the 26th of this month, presented his preliminary observations during the media briefing today.
Mr. Boulay was appointed as Special Rapporteur in March 2018 by the UN Human Rights Council, and as a Special Rapporteur, Mr. Boulay is an independent human rights expert with a mandate to report and advise on rights of freedom of peaceful assembly and of association. Therefore, really delighted that the government of Sri Lanka invited Mr. Boulay to visit Sri Lanka and conduct an official country visit.
Speaking exclusively to Newsfirst, the Special Rapporteur expressed the following views regarding the recent claims of his meeting with the country's Chief Justice.
I just wanted to clarify that as a matter of practice, for the special procedure, for the UN human rights experts, every time that we go in one country, we meet with all sectors of the country. You can even go to some of my reports that I published from Tunisia to Armenia. In all of those countries, I met with the judiciary. I also mentioned before even coming to this country that I will be meeting all of these sectors. So it's not typically, it's nothing typical for Sri Lanka. This is a matter of practice, and this is what I did by meeting with judiciary.
So they had specifically stated about 3 court cases. So what about that? Is there any, what could you say about that?
Well, I cannot elaborate on those specific cases because the discussion that I had with all of those institutions is confidential, and I repeat that, including NGOs. So I cannot elaborate on these cases. It's unfortunate that some of this question was brought as there was regarding those cases, but all of this is confidential, and we need to respect the confidentiality of our discussion. So I cannot elaborate on that.
It must be noted that the UN Special Rapporteur cannot summon the Chief Justice of Sri Lanka as he is not above him. The practices of the rapporteur in Tunisia and Armenia do not concern Sri Lanka. The legislature, the executive and the judiciary are considered as the 3 pillars of democracy. The Chief Justice of Sri Lanka is the head of the judiciary and the Supreme Court. Therefore, summoning the Chief Justice can also be considered as infringement of our country's sovereignty. What does the UN Special Rapporteur mean by not elaborating on the 3 specific cases when he was not allowed to discuss the cases in the first place? Summoning the Chief Justice is equal to summoning the President of this country, as the President himself swears in before him. What a mockery by the United Nations and the actions of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in defending, highlighting the shallow thinking, and is also downright ignorant. Does the United Nations show interest in the actions of global powers like the United States of America? What is their stance on the decision made by the US federal government to resume executing death row inmates after a 16-year hiatus? What is their view on the human rights violation in countries like Iraq, Libya, Syria and Afghanistan? The people are watching.
Now, following views were expressed by Minister of Justice Thalathathu Korala during an event held in Ratnapura.
We are ready to accept that challenge, and we are ready to accept any challenge. No matter what foreign forces come our way, we are not ready to surrender before them. This motherland is our land. They can come inspect anytime they want, but they can't tell us what to do. That is decided by our President, Prime Minister and our government. The Chief Justice decides the independence of the judiciary, and not even I can do that.
The Ministry of Justice expressed these views against a backdrop where much criticism is raised about the meeting between UN Special Rapporteur Clement Sosi and the Chief Justice. The people do not have an issue with regard to the minister's stance on the matter. However, do the statements of the minister reflect the reality of the situation? A letter sent by an additional secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was recently submitted in Parliament. The letter noted that the country's Chief Justice and several High Court judges have been summoned by the Special UN Rapporteur. The Special Rapporteur had met with the Chief Justice when the Speaker's intervention prevented him from meeting the High Court judges. People do not question the fact that anyone can visit the Chief Justice, who also heads the judiciary. But it's questionable that an official who represents the Ministry of Foreign Affairs showcase power to announce that the head of the judiciary is summoned before a foreign representative. Although the Minister of Foreign Affairs justified this in Parliament, what sort of power does the Ministry of Foreign Affairs hold to make such an announcement? Shouldn't the Minister of Justice question this if she is committed to protecting the independence of the judiciary?